Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Summer. Today we are going to be discussing the difference between a chunky light and a baby light for both look and application method. And I'm also going to be giving tips on certain wording and phrases you can use in your consultation to help figure out what look works best for your client. So stay tuned. So here on my right, we have our baby light look, and then here on my left, we have our chunky light look. So on both mannequins, their level of lightness as far as their blonde goes is very similar, and their base is also similar, so it helps make comparing them a little bit easier. So here with my chunky light, I applied it in my application a little bit more of like a modern take on it rather than like your hardcore racing stripes all the way up at the root. But you can see the separation between her light and dark pieces. It's definitely a defined blonde chunk, and then you have the dark, but it still blends together. It's not so insanely bold. It's a nice contrast of the two colors that kind of makes it pop and stand out a little bit more, where with the baby light, it's a much softer blend with just really minimal highlights. I put a somewhat decent amount in them, but it's more of that sun-kissed, nice, subtle look, which is great for a lot of clients. So in your application with a chunky highlight, you're gonna wanna do a very thick weave or back-to-back slices. So when you're doing a thicker weave, what you basically want to do is take a weave that's essentially 50% of the hair is coming out of that weave and going in your foil. And then, like I said, you want to do thick slices, but it's often better just to do two back-to-back ones so you get more even saturation all the way through. And then you're gonna wanna apply, if you're creating a low light, you're going to want to apply it in the same manner. Again, that's about a 50% weave of the piece that you're pulling from going in that foil and placing your low light on. If you aren't creating a low light and you're just working off of their natural base, you're gonna wanna leave the separation between your blonde pieces and leaving out your dark. So with the baby light being a much softer blend, instead of taking those really thick weaves that are 50% of your section, you're going to want to take literal baby thin sections. So to get more control with your weaves, you're going to use the tail of your comb and you're going to apply it all the way up to the scalp to take that ultra fine weave. And same with the slicing, you want to just go up high on the scalp to get that control, that preciseness that you're gonna need when creating a baby light. You want the hair and the foil to basically be see-through with a baby light. That's what's gonna give it that nice, soft, sun-kissed look where it just kind of all blends together. You don't have these hard lines or stripes with your blonde pieces. So really you're getting all your control with your weaving when you put that tail of the comb all the way up top, and that's really gonna give you a lot more control. If you're having a difficult time getting really thin weaves, make sure that tail of the comb is all the way up at the scalp rather than lower down. You're gonna lose control and you're gonna end up with too thick of a weave. So in your consultation with your client, if you're unsure of what look you wanna give them, a baby light is going to be great for anybody who wants very low maintenance. They want a nice, soft, natural look. Somebody looking to just lightly blend in their gray. Somebody who maybe has never even colored their hair before, a baby light is a great option to kind of get them in the momentum of what it's like to sit in your chair, get color done, and then it's not too drastic of a change. So if somebody is new to color and they're very nervous, I always suggest baby lighting them because it is just super subtle. So if they don't like it, it's much easier to go back to whatever color that they started with. Another great tip during your consultation is to not only just ask your client what they like, but also what they don't like. Sadly, too many times, if you're just relying on them telling you what they like and what they want, you're not always getting the full picture. And I find that when you get clients talking about what they don't like, you're really kind of basically covering all your bases. So you're hearing what they want, what they like, why they like it, but you're also hearing what it is they don't want to see, what they don't like, what they have no desire to have in their hair. So I like to ask both questions. That way you're getting a full picture idea, and it's really the best way to move forward when formulating how you're gonna apply your foils and all that good stuff. So I always recommend asking them what they don't like on top of what they do like. And then as far as deciphering if a client wants a chunkier look to their hair, if you're hearing words like pops of brightness, I want a thick, fuller look, I wanna see depth, dimension, I want it to look like I've had my hair done, then they're probably gonna be comfortable with a chunky light look versus a baby light look. Your baby light is gonna be much softer and subtle, which is great. But if they're wanting to see that pop and the dimension, the chunkier look is probably gonna be what catches their attention more, especially when they're saying they wanna see depth and they wanna look like they had their hair done. And another final tip with your consultation is to ask for pictures from the clients, whether it's in a text consultation or in your chair. Pictures are kind of a great way to finalize all the questions and wording that you're asking and using. And my final tip would be always throw the word inspo or inspiration in when asking for photos. Oftentimes clients think that just because they show you a photo means that their hair is gonna come out exactly like that. And that's just not always the case. You never know what somebody's starting with, what they've got all in the different layers of their hair. And so many photos now are edited and they look beautiful, but 9 times out of 10, your client's hair isn't gonna look exactly like that unless they're under the same lighting and editing as a lot of these photos are that they're showing us. But I just like to reiterate the word inspiration or inspo because that's what photos are meant to be. They're meant to be an inspiration, not replication. So, but photos still are a great way to really kind of finalize and bring everything together. So always ask to see inspiration pictures that they have. That way you can be on a solid page with them all together. So looks that are both similar in a chunky light and a baby light is usually most clients, even though with a baby light, people like it to be a soft, subtle look, a lot of people like that brightness around the face. So I like to do still a money piece with a baby light. It's very similar to how I would do my money piece for my chunky light. So when you're really looking at the mannequins head on with their hair pulled back, they look very similar. But it's just in a baby light, I'll make sure to leave a little bit of dark kind of overlaying on top of the blonde more than with a chunky light. I'll do a little bit more pieces of blonde going back further so it pops out a little bit more. But a money piece, I feel like is something you need to do on both a baby light and a chunky highlight that's gonna give them kind of the common denominator there. And then of course, this could be either a main difference in a modern day chunky light, I should say, and a baby light, or a common denominator. I like to do with any chunky foil basically now is to do a root smudge. It just softens that line and it's what gives it kind of the modern twist, as well as some other techniques that you can do with a chunky light. But I always do, like I said, a root smudge on the chunkier foils just to soften that line, where with a baby light, you can get away with not doing a root smudge. The only time I will ever do a root smudge on a baby light is if it's somebody who wants like a super heavy foil. They want to be like all blonde, but they like the grow out of a baby light. I will often do a little bit of a root smudge just to kind of give them a little bit more depth at their root, if that makes sense. Because the only downfall I feel like with a baby light is they're great for adding the lightness and brightness, but you don't get a lot of dimension or depth. Even if you're adding in low lights with it, it just all blends together. That's kind of the point in the technique of doing baby lights. So I always do like doing the root smudge on somebody who likes a really heavy, full, all over baby light look. It just gives a little pop of depth to them there. But if you're just doing like a traditional baby light that is meant for just like a sun-kissed look, 9 out of 10 times you do not have to root smudge, where with a chunky foil for like your modern day look, I always prefer to root smudge. So I guess I would say it's more of a difference than a comparison, but you get the point. All right, and really my final point with the main difference between a chunky light and a baby light is chunky light, you're gonna move through the hair at a much faster pace than you would with a baby light. Because you're getting to just go in and weave those thicker pieces, you don't have to be so precise. And because they're thicker pieces, you're going over more hair per foil. Then with a baby light, you have to be very precise, a lot of control in how you're taking your sections and your weaves and slices. So time-wise, a baby light is gonna be much more time consuming than a chunky light. And because of that reason, your baby light should start at a higher price point than your chunky light. The baby light is precise, precision takes time, and time is money. So always make sure you're at a higher price point with your baby light than the chunky light. Chunky light you can even out with doing your root smudges and whatnot, but you're gonna get through this look at a faster pace than you would a baby light. Baby lights take a lot of patience, actually, in my opinion. So, and final point is I will be posting the links to both videos where I did a tutorial on how to achieve both of these looks that I will link in the description below and then play above up top. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And in the comments, let me know what look you liked better. Do you prefer the baby lights where it's nice, soft, and subtle? Or do you like the chunky light where it's a little bit thicker and you really see kind of the pop and the contrast between the two colors? So I will see you guys next week. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't already.